Rap singer Eazy-E has lost his battle with AIDS just 10 days after revealing that he had the disease.
Like, hey, something serious happened to my father, you know what I mean? And
It starts with Tracy Jernigan, the woman who once lived inside Eazy-E's hidden world, finally breaking her silence after decades of whispers and doubt. Her voice is steady, firm, and unshaken. She claims the man the world crowned the Godfather of Gangsta Rap didn't just fall to some unstoppable virus. No, she calls it a setup. A cold, calculated takedown by powerful figures pulling strings in the music industry. For years, Tracy has carried one haunting image burned deep in her memory. Eric Wright, full of life and swagger just weeks before, now lying helpless in a Cedars-Sinai hospital bed. Watching the energy drain from him at a speed no one could explain. Tracy swears this isn't about chasing shadows or spinning ghost stories. She's after something bigger, the truth. A truth she says has been buried under stacks of contracts, old industry grudges, and ruthless ambition.
That Sunday, how soon before he ended up in the hospital?
That Monday.
Wow.
The next day. And he never came out of the hospital out of Cedars-Sinai.
Wow.
We cannot ignore the speed of his...
We can't overlook just how fast it all happened. Barely a month before the headlines, Eazy-E was in the studio, sharp, full of energy, laughing, built solid like a little tank as one friend described. No signs of weakness, no slow decline, nothing that hinted at an illness supposedly in its final stage. Then, almost overnight, came the violent coughing fits, the rushed hospital stay, the shocking public announcement. 9 days later, he was gone. But between those days, hip-hop witnessed one of its strangest moments, a hospital room wedding to Tamika Woods. A ceremony sealed just 12 days before his death, instantly handing her control of Ruthless Records. Was this the act of a man desperate to protect his family? Or was it a carefully timed move to secure power in the chaos his absence would leave behind? That's where the whispers of the poison contract surface, a phrase that sounds ripped straight from a mob film. Yet here, it's tied to a very real meeting. Friends recall a tense, high-stakes sit-down where suspicion filled the air. Deals were on the table, but so was betrayal. And with one single handshake, Eazy-E's fate may have been sealed. Could that contract signing have doubled as something far darker, a transaction where life itself was exchanged, disguised as business? Those who were present won't speak. But the list of people who had everything to gain from his downfall was long. And in that era of the music game, rivals didn't just outbid you, they erased you.
Some of the people that I'm talking to were saying that they weren't surprised or at least weren't alarmed by the cough because he smoked so much. Do you remember hearing him cough? And did you not think anything of it?
The cough was different that Sunday when we went to his house.
How so?
Because, man, I've smoked since 16, 17 years old. It wasn't cough.
Okay.
It was
So you knew that
Tracy's certainty isn't built on rumors. It's built on what she says she didn't see. No lesions, no mental fog, no body wasting away. Even in his final days, she swears he still looked like himself. Sick, yes, but not the skeletal figure doctors warn of after years of AIDS progression. Experts argue some cases move fast, but Tracy won't budge. For her, the timeline makes no sense. How does a man go from healthy to critical in a matter of weeks? How do 11 kids from different mothers exist, yet not one partner test positive? How does a man with money, connections, and access to elite LA doctors die so suddenly, with no warning signs anyone could spot? And the questions aren't just public, they're painfully personal. This isn't only about the legend of Eazy-E, it's about a daughter who lost her father at just 4 years old, left to grow up in the shadow of conflicting stories about why he never came home. It's about an estate worth millions that shifted hands overnight. Depending on who you ask, Ruthless Records was either protected or stolen. But the backdrop matters. The mid-90s music industry was as ruthless as the streets that inspired it. Loyalty could flip to betrayal over a missed check. Eazy had rivals in boardrooms, rivals in neighborhoods, and a fame that drew eyes not just from competitors, but from cops and politicians. And even after losing marquee acts, he still had the vision to keep Ruthless alive, making him not just a target, but a threat to anyone standing in the way of dominance.
You know, if we was friends before we did music together, then I think maybe it would have turned out different. But, you know, it was kind of a business relationship in a lot of ways. Even though we had a lot of fun together, you know.
For sure.
I considered him, you know, at the end, a friend, and not just, you know, the leader of NW.
Those closest to him remember the days before the hospital as normal. Studio sessions, late-night calls, even talk of bringing NWA back together. Nobody recalls him weak, bedridden, or fading away. And yet, the moment he walked into the hospital with a violent cough, the diagnosis landed almost instantly. Weeks later, the man who put Compton on the world map was gone, leaving behind a storm of questions and a power struggle that erupted the second he was buried. The marriage certificate ink was barely dry before legal battles exploded over control of Ruthless Records. Tamika suddenly found herself clashing with longtime partners who claimed the empire rightfully belonged to them. In that mix of grief, money, and mistrust, the theories grew louder. Some pointed to old grudges and business wars that had never cooled. Others whispered about something far more deliberate, a takedown not with guns, but with science. Racy has repeated it over and over. Things didn't add up. He went too fast. He didn't waste away. He wasn't hooked on drugs. It was like one day he was strong, the next he was slipping away. Her words cut deeper than grief. They carry the weight of accusation, an accusation that somewhere someone still holds answers and has chosen to stay silent.
She buried him April 7th, and then I turned 11 April 23rd.
As the camera drifts across faded photographs, E with his children, E in the booth, E commanding the stage, we're reminded this isn't just some hip-hop folklore. This was a man at the very peak of his power. With millions of fans and millions of dollars at stake, his sudden collapse didn't just shake the rap world, it sent tremors through boardrooms, backstreets, and even government files. And it leaves us staring at the same disturbing question his family has carried for 3 decades. Was this simply the tragic result of a wild lifestyle, or the perfect crime carried out in plain sight? In those final chaotic days, the energy around Cedars-Sinai was anything but comforting. The hospital didn't feel like a sanctuary, it felt like a fortress. Visitors were screened, calls went unanswered, and even longtime friends were blocked from getting close enough to touch his hand. That silence stretched beyond the hospital halls and into the offices of Ruthless Records, where staff either avoided the subject altogether or repeated strangely rehearsed lines about his condition. A small circle of relatives made it inside, but their stories never aligned. Some insisted he was still talking business moves, others swore he was barely conscious. And so the question lingers. Was this wall of control built to protect his privacy, or to keep inconvenient truths from slipping out?
I get a call from E, and E's telling me, meet me at the house on Sunday. So Sunday, me and my homies, we all go to his house. And man, he's got a dry cough, like a cold, dry cough. And he was like, man, I got this bronchitis, just let me get it out of my chest. And
even the medical paperwork sits under a cloud of doubt. Those who've tried to pull the complete file speak of missing pages, altered notes, and signatures that only spark more questions. No official autopsy, no independent review of the cause. The death certificate listed pneumonia from complications, but whispers say other drafts existed with different wording. To the more suspicious voices, it feels like critical evidence was buried right along with him, locked away tighter than any vault in Los Angeles. And in the shadows of all those unanswered questions, one name refuses to disappear: Suge Knight. In the 90s, his reputation was already legendary. The kind of man you didn't cross if you valued your career, your contracts, or maybe even your life. Then came 2003, when he sat across from Jimmy Kimmel. With a smirk that made audiences uneasy, Suge spoke of a new thing, people being injected with blood carrying the virus. And then, almost like a twisted punchline, he added, the Eazy-E thing. To the casual viewer, it played off as a joke, but to those already drowning in rumor, it landed like a confession, slipped through the cracks in plain sight.
Technology is so high, right?
Right.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's
yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
Easy. I mean,
Yeah.
Industry insiders still recall the bad blood between Suge Knight and Eazy-E, a rivalry born from the tug-of-war over Dr. Dre and fueled by a battle for control of West Coast rap. Knight's reputation was built on intimidation, threats, and negotiation tactics that felt more like street warfare than business. He had already ripped Dre from Ruthless. Would removing Eazy altogether have cleared the path for Death Row's rise? For some, the timing of his sudden illness, just as rivals were consolidating power, feels far too precise to be coincidence. What makes it even darker is the trail of opportunity that opened the moment he was gone. With Eazy out of the picture, Tamika Woods instantly stepped into full control of Ruthless Records, a catalogue worth millions in royalties and contracts. Practically overnight, she became one of the most powerful figures in West Coast rap, striking new distribution deals and reshaping the label's future. To some, it was simply a wife inheriting her husband's empire. But to others, the speed and precision of that takeover looked rehearsed, like plans were sitting in the shadows, waiting to be activated the second the throne was empty.
Laugh and joke and have drinks and, be talking about it happened and get a chance to have that time with him before he passed away.
Man, time does really heal all wounds.
It do.
And it's not...
The shockwaves didn't stop with his death. Industry watchers at the time noted how Eazy-E's absence cleared the board for Death Row to dominate, removing the one rival strong enough to keep Suge Knight in check. Almost overnight, Death Row's sales spiked, its grip on radio, touring, and retail distribution tightening with little resistance. The vacuum left by Ruthless was quickly filled by the very figures who had been locked in conflict with Eazy just months earlier, fueling speculation that his fall was less about fate and more about strategy. Beneath the surface, the winners weren't just in Compton. Major labels and corporate distributors also reaped rewards. Ruthless's catalogue, from NWA's groundbreaking tracks to Eazy's solo work, became a goldmine for licensing, and its partnerships shifted in ways that directly benefited bigger industry players. To those who follow the money, the timing was no coincidence. The speed with which these deals surfaced after his passing looks less like chance and more like preparation. If the goal was to redraw the map of West Coast hip-hop, the removal of its most stubbornly independent figure wasn't just effective, it was ruthless by design.
They don't sell on camera.
No, never.
No, we don't carry guns. We carry switchblades.
He says with a smile. I mean, really? Seriously, do you?
You carry guns?
No? So you guys don't? You feel like you don't have to?
It's just the life that we live, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just where we stay. I mean, you never know what can happen. There's people every day that you know.
Whispers of silent investors and backroom deals have haunted the industry ever since. These stories suggest that players far removed from street feuds may have quietly steered events toward this ending. Powerful executives with no interest in rap rivalries could still recognize the profit in removing a volatile yet visionary figure like Eazy-E. Whether by manipulation, by cutting off resources, or simply by looking the other way at the right time, their influence would leave no fingerprints, only an industry reshaped in ways that padded their portfolios. And this pattern isn't unique. Time and again, the music business has shifted dramatically after the sudden loss of a major artist. Catalogs skyrocket in value, legal disputes suddenly resolve in favor of survivors, and rival companies seize the chance to dominate. Eazy-E's case mirrors that template with eerie accuracy, a fast and mysterious decline, an abrupt transfer of power, and a business landscape that seemed to fall perfectly into place for certain winners. Viewed through that lens, his death looks less like an unexplainable tragedy, and more like a textbook example of how business and power intersect in the shadows.
You know, you fast forward a little bit of time after that, and he, you know, passes and becomes one of the, you know, most influential people on the West Coast to ever pass at the time, well, still to this day. What was your relationship like with Eazy at the time of his passing? Like, had you guys found a way to reconcile, or?
We had just reconciled. You know, I met Eazy in 80.
If this wider theory carries weight, then the story isn't just about one man's enemies or a single act of betrayal. It's about a whole machine, an industry structure able to shift and realign the moment opportunity presents itself. Hidden power brokers, cloaked behind layers of corporate respectability, could bend the rules without ever stepping into the spotlight. And if someone as visible and connected as Eazy-E could be removed so quietly, it forces the chilling question: how many other lives and careers have been silently rerouted under the cover of fate? Even those who knew him best have echoed the suspicion. B.G. Knockout once said, "For someone to reach full-blown illness that fast, it's suspicious." Former manager Jerry Heller admitted he believed something was off, noting bitterly that he was the only one who didn't profit from Eazy's death. And his son, young Eazy, has gone further, publicly claiming his father was taken out, pointing his finger directly at Suge Knight. Each voice adds another knot to the tangled rope of doubt. Yet still, not one has delivered the irrefutable proof that could silence the debate forever.
We got a chance to talk. We just sat and talked, and we talked for hours, just about old times, you know, could we get it back together? He was beefing with Dre by then and Death Row, and I was like, yo, you know, work that out, and I'm here, you know, and then that was the last time I seen him. And so, last time I seen him alive.
We can't ignore that Suge Knight's entire reputation was built on fear. And his offhand remark about a method of hidden, slow destruction fits squarely into that legacy. Whether it was pure bravado or something darker, the echo between his words and Eazy-E's lightning-fast decline is impossible to dismiss once you've heard it. And yet, no charges were ever filed. No official investigation was ever launched. The story lingers in that uneasy space where rumor and possibility overlap, surviving longer than the man at its center. Meanwhile, the silence from those who could end the speculation is deafening. Doctors, nurses, executives, people who could close the case with a single clear statement, have either stayed quiet or spoken in careful, vague phrases that only add to the fog. What we're left with are fragments: the rushed marriage, the locked-down hospital, the missing medical pages, the televised joke from a man who once went toe-to-toe with Eazy. It's a patchwork of clues that may never come together into a complete picture, but one that continues to demand attention every time a new documentary, interview, or leaked memory stirs the debate back to life.
You gonna continue making a lot of money off of this, do you think?
Basically, as long as you got people that want to learn about all this and they want to hear it, you know. As long as it's violence, it's gonna be rap music, gangster rap music, or whatever.
And that's the unsettling part. 3 decades later, we're still circling the same rumors, asking the same questions. If someone as high profile, as connected, and as profitable as Eazy-E could vanish without a single charge ever being filed, what does that reveal about the real power structures hidden behind the microphones and platinum plaques? Was this simply an act of personal revenge, or evidence of something far bigger? A playbook written in the shadows, where erasing a rival isn't a tragedy, but just another move in the business of power.
By 89, I had left, so I really knew him for five years, and it was, you know, mixed more with business than just hanging. Even though we were hanging and kicking it, but all of it was wrapped around the music industry. So when we broke up, I hadn't seen him for years.
Maybe the truth is buried in a file cabinet somewhere, just waiting for the right hands to pull it out. Or maybe it's sealed away forever, known only to a select few who plan to carry it to the grave. But here's the question we can't escape. If the real story of Eazy-E's final days ever surfaced, would it rewrite hip-hop history as we know it? Drop your theory in the comments. Your voice might be the one that drags this mystery into the light. Until then, stay alert, stay questioning, because in this game, nothing is ever exactly what it seems.